Another big struggle would be providing the least restrictive environment for your students. Now, as teachers, I know we hear that a lot in special education, but I think it's important for us to acknowledge that with every student, not just students who have special needs. We should really aim to provide the least restrictive environment for every student. Every student needs to feel comfortable in their learning environment. Nobody needs to feel like they can't thrive there. Everybody needs to be made to feel that way. So, as teachers, like, I know sometimes we have like clear cut visions of what we want our class to look like, what we want our instruction to look like, how we want our students to behave. But sometimes our vision does not correlate with our students' visions and our students' needs. Sometimes our students need a little extra attention. Sometimes they need a little extra help. Some of them might not need as much help, but there are others who need that. So, with knowing that, we have to make sure that we cater to those students too. And we have to do it in appropriate ways because we can't just let students just run amok. But we have to at least give them a reason to want to come to school. That's also a part of the motivation. Like, they can't just do what you say, when you say, how you say, and because you said it. Like, you gotta give kids a little something too. Like, you gotta be a little equal too. So you have to make sure that the learning environment is comfortable for each child. If a child doesn't like sitting, they can't walk around the classroom, but maybe you can work it out there where it's like, okay, you don't like sitting for too long, I'll allow you to stand up and do your work for 10 minutes each day. But you have to really be sitting there, you have to really be working. If they can do that, hey, maybe you let them do it twice a day. They keep doing it, maybe let them do it 3 times a day. What difference does it make if they're getting their work done? You can let them stand at their desk for a little bit. They don't have to sit because you want them to sit. Like, just don't be so rigid is what I'm trying to say. Figure out times where you can be like, okay, I'll let up. And trust me, once you start doing that and you do that with each child in the appropriate way, then you gotta learn how to. You can't just be letting everybody just do whatever they want. You gotta know how to do it. But if you start to try to do that, they will cooperate with you so much more. I'm telling you, kids are like not crazy. Kids are funny. Kids are funny. They pick and choose who they want to cooperate with. So if you give them just a little something, they're going to cooperate with you. Trust me, they will. Especially if they can feel that you care and they can feel that, you're compromising with them. Kids like compromising. Trust me, they do. They like compromising. So just keep that in mind. Like, you don't want to restrict anybody. If it's a child that can't sit still, don't make them sit still all day. Like, that's restrictive. That's restrictive. I know it'll be easier for you to have that kid sitting down, and then it'll make your job easier, but it makes that child's job harder, and it makes school worse for them, and it makes it boring for them. It makes it torturous for them. So just do a little something extra. It's not that deep. Like, calm down. It's not that deep. We're all still learning. Do a little compromise. Now, some kids can't handle compromise, and in those cases, you don't give those kids those options. You try them out, you test them out, and if they don't meet the expectations, then they don't get their privilege anymore. But you have to be fair, so you have to give people a chance, and just keep those people in mind and keep their needs and their personality in mind. And everything can't always go your way. We say that to the kids every day, but we gotta keep that in mind for ourselves too. Everything can't always go your way. Okay? Give in a little tiny bit. It'll make the whole classroom just a better place. But don't be a pushover. Like, keep that in mind too. I'm not saying be a pushover at all. Okay, so providing feedback could be so hard because it's like so many of them and only one of us, and it's just like, do I have to say something to each and every one of you? But you want to make sure that you try to sneak in little times where you give students feedback. Some kind of something, just to let them know that you care. It could be something like a journal. Maybe you maybe you read their journals one day. Maybe you just say, hey, everybody take out your journals. I'm going to collect them. collect everybody's journal, you read one page out of everyone's journal, and then you write back to them. That's something that they're going to cherish. Give them some type of feedback. Whenever they have tests, give them feedback. Whenever they have projects, make sure when you're grading, when you're grading, you have also some type of qualitative feedback too. You don't want to just give them the number or letter grade. You also want to give them some sentences. You know how they do. What could they have improved? Like kids love stuff like that. Like that goes a long way, and that's another part of motivation. That'll motivate them. Getting that feedback motivates them so much. Even if it's something like a good job, even if you do something like a high five, air high five. Like if the class does something cool, you say air high five, and the whole class does like that. Like they'll like stuff like that. So just provide feedback. Like just do it for motivation. And even when you have to provide, there are going to be times when you have to provide negative feedback, but you want to make sure that your negative feedback is as positive as it can be because you don't want to tear anybody down. So you want to make sure like you're just, instead of tearing them down or instead of telling them that it's wrong, you want to give them different ways to think about whatever it is, or a different viewpoint of whatever it is. Just hint at them, like give them little hints of different ways that they can think about it and help them come to the answer. Help them construct meaning. Like do it like that and just do it positively instead of saying wrong or X or you get out the big old red pen, you say F. Like, don't do that. Like, just provide feedback. Even if it's negative, make it as positive as possible. It'll go a long way. It'll motivate the kids. They'll love you for it. They'll trust you for it. So because they trust you, they'll cooperate with you. Because they'll cooperate with you, they'll act better for you. They'll behave for you. They'll distract you less. You'll have better time management. Like all this stuff goes hand in hand. So you got to keep all of this stuff in mind. Like it's all interdependent. Like you have to keep it in mind. Really, you do. You do. You do. Another thing that you really have to keep in mind is the way that we communicate with students. I know sometimes students can be a pain in the butt and they can just come at you and in so many different ways. They can be so disrespectful sometimes, but you got to keep in mind that students are just students. They're just kids. They're just kids. I'm not going to say that they don't know right from wrong because that'll be me enabling them because most kids do know right from wrong. But when the kids are choosing to do wrong, there's always a reason for it. And you got to understand that. No one's just bad because they're just bad. So when you're communicating with kids, you have to talk to them like they're something. You can't talk to them like they're nothing. You can't talk to them like they're just bad kids or because if you give them that disrespect, they're going to give you disrespect back. And I know it sounds funny, like, you gotta respect kids, cause as adults you're like, why do I have to respect the kid? Why should I respect? But you have to think about it, really think about it, and be real with yourself. When you were a kid, did you like the adults? Who did you like better? The adults that spoke to you in a better way, in a nicer, positive way, or the adults that spoke to you in a condescending tone or told you things like, well, I don't care because I don't, just attitude. Did you like those adults or did you like the other ones? Who did you behave better for? Those mean adults or those nice adults? I know me, I behave better for the nice adults. If you were mean, I was not acting good for you at all, like not in any way, shape, nor form. So as a teacher, I know that like I'm keeping in mind like how I was as a kid. I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna come at this kid crazy because I know if I was a kid and someone was coming at me crazy, I wouldn't disrespect them because I don't know. I might get a little spicy. I don't know. I don't know what I would do. I ain't gonna lie, but keep that in mind. You don't know what these kids are going to do. You don't know what these kids are going to do. And then they can come at you disrespectful, and then it turns into an argument. And then it's like, well, who's the kid and who's an adult? So that's why you never want to come off at them disrespectful. Don't even get on their level. You always want to come at them respectfully and calm. No matter what they're doing, no matter what they're saying, you always want to be calm.